What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Unique Mazik, the hardest working man in sports and gaming. And I'm here to talk about Jabari Parker signing with the Chicago Bulls, or agreeing to sign with the Chicago Bulls. If you can tell by the expression on my face, you know I am happy about it. 2 years, $40 million, which obviously comes to $20 million a year. Now, some people may be scoffing at that contract because they're just looking at the dollar amount. But I think the details of the contract are, to me, what make it a positive deal. The biggest thing about this deal that makes it still very team friendly is the fact that the second year is a team option. So that means the Bulls get to evaluate Jabari Parker after year one and to determine whether or not they want to bring him back at the $20 million or renegotiate and maybe even sign him to a long-term deal moving forward from there. They have that freedom. So for me, obviously the biggest concern about Jabari is staying healthy. He's had two really big, two torn ACLs, and so that's a bad thing, obviously. And we talk about players with torn ACLs in Chicago, and the first thing everybody thinks about, obviously, is Rose, and it's with good reason, because that was a nightmarish situation and so frustrating to see a player who was so great as Rose was early in his career in the MVP season, and then have it just kind of crumble with the injuries. So we've seen this happen. And then there's obviously the eerie similarities because Jabari is a Chicago guy, not only just a Chicago guy. Jabari went to Simeon just like Rose. And so, all of that's there. But we have to remember that when healthy, Jabari put up some really solid numbers, especially when you consider where he is in his career. He's still a very young man. People have to understand Jabari is only 23 years old. So through 4 years, which is only equated to 183 games for him because of the injuries, he's averaging 15.3 a game. Now, he was really playing well in the 16-17 season through 51 games when he was averaging 20 points a game, 6 boards, 2.8 assists, a steal, 0.4 blocks. He was shooting 36% from three-point range, 49% overall. Jabari, the Bulls are going to play Jabari at small forward. So they're looking at a starting five of Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, Jabari Parker, Lauri Markkanen, and Robin Lopez or Wendell Carter Jr., depending on what they do with Lopez and so forth. You have Portis coming off the bench. You have Justin Holiday coming off the bench unless they move him, which I think is a possibility. You also have, obviously, Chandler Hutchison coming off the bench. Cameron Payne looks like he's going to be the backup point guard. So I don't know exactly what the Bulls are going to do with Cristiano Felicio. That's that they could move him. I think that would definitely be something that could happen. Denzel Valentine's still there. I totally expect the Bulls to waive Julian Stone, who they just got in the recent deal, and I expect them to waive Paul Zipser as well. But with the depth chart currently as it is, some people think this is over ambitious, over optimistic. But if Jabari Parker can reach the level he was at in the 16-17 season, I don't see why the Bulls can't be a lower level playoff team this year. I really don't see why that's out of the realm of possibility. And the Bulls are at a place with their rebuild right now where, to me, making the playoffs towards the bottom portion is not a bad thing, because you will still be in position to have a first round pick just outside of the lottery. And you also have some flexibility with some talent on your team where you may be able to make a deal on draft day in 2019 to move into the lottery if there's a player that you really, really like. And you'll have had this entire season to evaluate Zach LaVine, to evaluate Jabari Parker, to evaluate Chris Dunn, which I think are the three positions where you would consider maybe you're not set. I think they have to really love what they see from Wendell Carter Jr. at center. And I know they love what they see from Lauri Markkanen at the 4. But 1 through 3, I think there's still an evaluation period that's taking place. But Parker has primarily played the 4, but I would like to contend that perhaps he's primarily played the 4 because he's been primarily playing alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is clearly the 3 and clearly the better player. I think Parker is a pure scorer who you look at purely to get buckets. You know, he can take guys off the dribble from up top. He can take guys into the post a little bit and play there. And he is much better in transition than you would think for a guy with his type of bulk. Now, that brings me to the next point. I do think that it would make sense for Parker to drop some weight. I think that right about now, he's listed as about 250. I don't know. Maybe he's 250. Maybe he's 260. I'm not sure, but I know he's definitely a thicker built guy. For someone who has had some knee problems, lower body injuries, especially 2 torn ACLs in the same knee, I have to think that dropping some weight takes off some of the pressure and some of the strain on the lower body. And I would think would have to reduce the risk of re-injuring the leg. Now, obviously, knee injuries, leg injuries, period, can happen. You can be in the most elite shape there is. I mean, Derrick Rose was probably like 10%, 9% body fat, something crazy like that when he tore his ACL, even though he had been battling lingering injuries the entire season. So I'm not saying that this would make him impervious to injury. But what I'm saying is, since he's already torn his ACL playing heavier, it would seem that dropping some weight would make sense. I would love to see him at about 235, 240. He's going to be a bigger guy anyway. That's just the way his frame is made. But I would love to see him at 235, 240. I think he would optimize his quickness and his explosiveness. As I mentioned, I think he would also reduce the chances of re-injuring the knee. Now, I say that and I throw that out there like it's something simple, and I know that it's not. Dropping weight is not that easy. But what he does have going in his favor is that he's only 23 years old. And trying to do something at that age is much more feasible and much more realistic than it would be if he were in his late 20s, early 30s or so. We've seen guys in all different professional sports and even outside of professional sports transform their bodies because of the access that Jabari Parker has to top level strength and conditioning coaches, top level nutrition coaches, and nutrition professionals. If the Bulls and Jabari made that a priority, I would think it would be more realistic for him. Now, the other side of this is one of the other reasons that I'm really happy to see Parker sign with the Bulls is because I don't know how many people are familiar with Jabari Parker, familiar with his character, the way he carries himself, just him, the guy, period. This is a solid dude. And I'm not talking about him as a basketball player, as a physical specimen. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about just as a person. The dude, he's different. He's different. He doesn't like, you know, necessarily carry himself like everybody else. He's a different kind of dude, but he's a solid dude. And I think that he is a great addition to the Bulls team as a person and as a personality, as much as he can be a help on the court, obviously as a starting small forward, because you're not going to pay anybody $20 million a year that you don't expect to see some production from. If I'm being honest, I expect Jabari Parker to lead the Bulls in scoring next year. Now, I know some people might be like, what? Zach LaVine is what? Lauri Markkanen? I expect Jabari Parker to lead the Bulls in scoring next year. Now, I expect it to be close. Lauri Markkanen, Parker, and LaVine somewhat in the same category. Or it might not be that close. Or it may be at a point where Jabari is, you got to think about it like this. This is another reason why this is a good deal. It's a 2-year deal, but this is a team option for the second year. Jabari is essentially in another contract season. He's healthy. He's playing in his hometown. if there has ever been any player in the league who has something to prove, it's Jabari Parker right now. He has to prove he can stay healthy. He has to prove he's still an elite talent after being drafted #2 overall. He has a lot to prove, and the Bulls with the option to lock him in, not just for this year, but for the following year, are in a really good position to benefit from where Jabari Parker is as a person and as a player. I think that's very significant. People have to understand that. You know, not that you would have to worry about Jabari's effort any other time anyway, because I've never seen anything from him at Simeon or Duke or in his 4 years with Milwaukee that would suggest that he doesn't or isn't going to give max effort. But there is another level of motivation there as well, because this is a contract year again, because if he gets hurt again, which obviously he can't necessarily, you know, he can't always do anything about that outside of, you know, being in good shape and keeping yourself conditioned or whatever. Injuries can still happen. But if he gets hurt or he doesn't play great, there's a good chance that he doesn't get signed. He doesn't. I mean, the Bulls don't pick up that option. Also, if he plays well and the Bulls say they still really like Chandler Hutchison and they really think that that he's the guy, or there's a plethora of wings coming in the 2019 draft, or a combination of free agent guys that are coming. You got Klay Thompson's going to be a free agent. Kawhi is going to be a free agent, although everybody thinks he's going to the Lakers. All these different guys, they have some other options of things that they can go for. And that's another thing that I like, because with this deal being a 2-year deal with the second year being an option, the Bulls still have $20 million of cap space there and the potential to sign a max or even maybe 2 max free agents if they can make some other auxiliary deals to clear up that space. So I have not actually been high on much of anything that the Bulls have done from a front office standpoint for quite some time. But I must admit that this offseason, the Bulls have done, the front office has done an excellent job. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr.'s draft, I mean, the final say isn't out about Wendell Carter Jr. or Chandler Hutchison. So we could have to recant these statements. But Wendell Carter Jr. looks solid in summer league, even though the Bulls lost today. Chandler Hutchison has looked good. Antonio Blakeney looks like a really solid 6-man, and I didn't even mention him in the depth chart situation. I think he should definitely be a 6-man on this team that comes off the bench behind Zach LaVine to give the team some scoring punch. They re-signed, or they matched the offer for Zach LaVine, which I kind of thought they had to do. I wasn't always on board with that, but I would say that one is the one I'm the most shaky about. But when you've put together the other things that they've done as well, I mean, I can't be mad at a starting lineup of Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, Jabari Parker, Lauri Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr. I can't be mad at that. I mean, we have to wait and see how this young core develops. And I'm all for giving all of them all of the time that they need to play together and give them the burn and the minutes on the floor. But I can't be mad at what this team has done. So that's all I got. I'm going to look and see what you guys are talking about in the chat. And I'm going to, after a few minutes, I'm going to dip out because I got to cover the UFC. It's already started here on the right. I'm looking, if you see me keep looking over, UFC Fight Night 133 has already started. So I'm covering that as always. And as well, I should say, also covering Manny Pacquiao against Lucas Matisse tonight. So there's that. So Lil Dagger says, I want to see the Bulls sign Jahlil Okafor. I don't really, because I don't think he is a center that can succeed in today's game, because he's not going to defend those switches well. Maybe in spots, but I'm all for the Chicago guys, but I don't know, stylistically, I don't know whose minutes is he going to take. I wouldn't take Bobby Portis's minutes for him, and I certainly wouldn't take Wendell Carter Jr.'s minutes. So I don't know where he would play. MMA Forever says this was a great sign, and I agree. Trey Slaughter says, I think the Bulls might sneak their way into the playoffs now. It's what I was thinking. Taylor Malone, what's going on, man? So what's up, Zeke? This is a great deal for Chicago, team friendly. Plus, Jabari obviously has talent. If he stays on the floor, to change the scenery could be great for him. I agree. I have never seen this hashtag in my life, but MMA Forever says, trust guard packs. This is a 1-year deal, idiots. We have a team option for year 2. This was the second overall pick who put up great numbers. This was a steal. I think it was a steal too, and I do think that the 1-year deal with the second-year option makes all the sense in the world. Fingolian Jean says it's simple. When he is healthy, he is totally worth $20 million per year. If not, we just dump him. Exactly. Kale, what's going on? He says, my boy made it to the 2K. All right. This doesn't have anything to do with that, Kale, but thank you very much. All righty, sir. Fingolian Jean says it's totally win for our 3 position guys. Yes. Let's see. Zipser says, OJ Ghost says, OJ OGST says Zipser has been waived already. Okay. I thought that was going to happen. I knew they were moving towards that. MMA Forever says, I see a solid 7 seed in the East if healthy with a solid 6-game series loss. Show free agents that we have a great team and locker room and get a max player to come next year. Love. Yep. That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking, because they're at a point where with the rebuild where it's cool to take a step now. You know, you don't have to totally tank because you have so many young players on your roster. You're going to have to wait and see how all of them play. But it's cool now to take a step. Tarian Whitfield says Blakely just dropped 24 points today. Wonder if he'll make the final roster spot. I hope so. See, MMA Forever says, even if Jabari is a complete bust, we have Hudson to get those important minutes and get in the lottery or 8 seed. I don't know. Without Parker, I don't think they're a playoff team. Without Parker playing well, I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they need Jabari to be an 18 to 20 point a game guy to get into the playoffs. And I totally think that's possible. But if you have to depend on Chandler Hutchison as your starting 3, or he's going back and forth with Denzel Valentine, I don't know that that's a playoff team. But Jabari Parker, 18 to 20 points a game, I think the Bulls are a playoff team. Taylor Malone says, I feel like he would be a good rebounder at the 3, like a less athletic Paul Pierce kind of a player. Less athletic than Paul Pierce when Paul Pierce was really, really young. Because Paul Pierce could get up a little bit when he was really young, but Paul was never super fast. So I think athletically, I think they're very similar. But yeah, I don't know that Jabari is ever going to be a great rebounder. You know, I think 4.5, 4, 7, 5 maybe is the most, especially at the 3 that you're going to get from him. But that's fine. That's fine. We got Wendell Carter Jr. to rebound. Laurie's got a rebound. If he does more than 5 rebounds, that's great. But multi-versatile video. So I watch videos, and it's the way he lands. Honestly, man, I actually kind of thought the same thing. I didn't say that, but I see the way, but one of the things is about the way he lands is I think that it also has to do with the weight. The weight is also significant, because people will tell you all the time, it's not the jumps, it's the landings. The landings are what cause the injuries and what cause the torque and the wear and tear on the body. And I have looked at the way he lands, and I'm going to be honest with you, every time he jumps, it makes me nervous. It does. So I'm hoping that other people watch videos as well, multi-versatile, and, professionals watch that. And I'm hoping, you can only teach a kid how to land so much. He's 23. He's been playing basketball probably for the last at least 15 years. He plays the way he plays. So you got to kind of work around it. So I'm hoping that it works out that way. Zero Ken says, if healthy, Jabari Parker is an awesome person and awesome player worth $20 million. Parker and Levine and Laurie should be fun to watch. I would agree. Fangolian Jean says, remember that we tanked last season. We played G League starters just not to get on the play. Yeah, they did. They played G League guys, and to a degree, but they did tank last year, and they were supposed to tank. That was what they were supposed to do. Taylor Malone says, I think the Bulls will have 3 to 4 guys scoring in double digits, probably 2 or 3 of those guys scoring 16 plus. I would agree. Fingolian says, who could be mad about that? Our starters are just starting to peak. Dante McGregor says, I'm just glad we're not tanking this year. Yeah, it's clearly they're not tanking. I don't mind tanking. I think tanking is part of the game. That's the way it works, man. It doesn't bother me. I would rather tank than to try to win with a roster that you know isn't good enough. That just does nothing for me, because to me, tanking gives me hope about future seasons. But when you're running out a team, when you're running a squad out there that you know for a fact is not good enough to win, and you're like, hey, well, we're trying. No, we're not trying. We're losing is what we're doing. We're going 41-41 and keep getting eliminated in the first round is what we're doing. And that's not getting us anywhere, because we're not drawing free agents, because the Bulls never draw free agents. And we're never getting draft picks that are high enough for us to get a lead star unless we hit the jackpot and find Kawhi Leonard or something like that. And to me, that's just not the way to do it. Shea Havner says, will he be able to adapt to the small forward position well? I think he will. I really don't think that's an issue. Put it like this. I don't think Jabari is going to be a great defender anywhere. I don't think that's ever. Jabari is a scorer, is what he is. He could be an adequate defender, but he's a scorer. And so that's just what that'll be. Now, the problem is you have probably two substandard or at best average defenders on the perimeter, on the wings, in Levine and Parker. Both of those guys are going to have to commit to getting better on the defensive end. So Taylor says Young Paul with the comparison. Jay Slaughter says, I see all-star potential in Jabari. He just needs to stay healthy. I mean, imagine if Jabari makes the all-star team, man. I don't know if he would get the comeback player of the year, because let's see how many he played. 31 games last year, 12.6. I mean, if Jabari averages 20 a game next year, and he shoots like 49%, maybe 40% from three, averages like 5.5 rebounds, maybe 2.5 assists. I don't know. He might be up there for most improved player. If they have a comeback player of the year, he definitely would have to be up there for that. Multiversatile says he is putting tremendous amount of force on his heels, like Russ and LeBron run and land basically on their tiptoes. Yeah. I definitely did notice the landings. I did. Torian Whitfield says, is Fred Hoiberg's job on the line to develop a more polished offensive scheme as well? Offensively, I don't think the Bulls have much of a problem. I think the Bulls are going to score, and I think Fred's offense is fine, especially once he got Jimmy Butler out, because Butler can score in his own way, but not in a way that fits into what Fred wants to do. It's the same thing with Dwayne Wade. Neither of those two guys played a style that really fit what Fred wanted to do with the pace of space, with the ball movement. Both of those guys are more isolation guys, and it just didn't fit. Last year, I think we saw that the Bulls can score, and they didn't even have as many weapons most of the year as they will have this year. So I don't worry about the scoring. Defense is what I worry about with this team. Because we know Don will defend, and we know that Wendell Carter Jr. is a good rim protector, as is Robin Lopez, who I think should be traded because he's too old for the rebuild. And Bobby Portis will give effort on defense. But Zach LaVine, Parker, and perhaps Markkanen are the three that, it might be a little shaky. Shea Havner says, hopefully everyone can improve on defense, because that could be an issue with, that's what we're talking about. And Shea Havner says, also an Iowa State fan, I think this is a good team for Hoiberg to coach. Remember, it reminds me a lot of some of his ISU teams. Yeah, because I guess you could say Jabari Parker is like Royce White. And who else did he coach on that team? Oh man, I forget who else he coached on the Iowa State team. But I can kind of see what you're saying there. He had a 3-point shooting 2-guard, and wasn't as athletic as Zach, but not many people are. But yeah, But Bogey Down Low says Parker still believes he hasn't shown his potential. All his clips last year were dunks. He wants to show he's perfectly fine. Shout out Hammond, Indiana. All right, I hear you. I hear you. But yeah, man. I athletically, I thought he definitely had the bounce. See, that the ACLs don't mean what they used to mean. You know, back in the day, man, an ACL was the end of your career. You know, these guys are coming back even more athletic after the ACLs. You know, and honestly, man, I think that Rose could have been the same way, but I think Rose's issues were more mental. I think that it was kind of like he he couldn't ever get the injury out of his head. I think it like really tormented him. And I don't know if it was that when he was going through his rehab, he wasn't surrounded with the right people and the right types of people, or what happened during his rehab, but something happened where he wasn't in the right mindset to ever recover. And then when the injury happened, it happened again and it happened again. It just, to me, just kind of messed him up. I still think he's the player that is capable of scoring off the bench and playing 20 to 25 minutes and putting up numbers. I still believe that he can do that. But the injury thing is what it is, you know. Fingolian says Laurie just showed in Team Finland mad blocking skills as well. You can put him easily to guard five or four position. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. I mean, Laurie, I'm not going to say Laurie's a bad defender, but I'm not saying you can easily have him guard the 4 or the 5. It depends on the matchup. It depends on the matchup. You know, it depends on the matchup. It could depend. He's not an elite level defender like that yet. Maybe he will become that, but at this point, I think he's an average defender. You know, maybe slightly above average because he has shown some good shot blocking time, and he did show that in his rookie season. So, and he's definitely athletic enough to slide his feet. So we'll see. Torian Whitfield says Doug McBuckets. Doug didn't play for Iowa State. Doug went to Creighton. So I don't know. He didn't have him there. He said, yeah, Rose gave up after the year out of court. You are right. I don't think he gave up. I think he just was afraid, of going through that again. And then when it happened again, it was just getting hurt sucks, and it's all, I think it's as much mental coming back from those injuries as it is physical. And you have to rehab both. Not everybody is like Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook tore the meniscus in his knee, and they had to hold him off the court. I mean, but he tore his meniscus now. He didn't tear his ACL, so it's just different. So a lot of people are like, yeah, he hurt his knee too. Nah, not the same. He didn't tear his ACL. And so those are two different injuries. I mean, Metta World Peace tore his ACL and had it removed and came back in like 2.5 weeks in the postseason. So, a lot of people, would that I mean, it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal. So Shay Hadley says, who do you see being the leading scorer on the Bulls if everyone is healthy? I think if everyone is healthy, like I was saying a little bit earlier, I think Jabari could be the leading scorer. It depends. It depends, though. I mean, I think most people will probably lean towards Laurie, but Jabari is older, is more experienced, and he is a pure scorer. He's a pure scorer. So I don't know. I think both of those guys will be similar, and they'll have some really good games where they combine for a good amount of points. The thing is they're going to have to find balance because Zach LaVine, Jabari, and Laurie are all scorers. They're going to have to find some balance there. Trey Slaughter says, do you think the Bulls have a shot at getting Anthony Davis in some way in the foreseeable future? He's another Chicago native. Yes, he is. I think that it's possible, but I think the only way it's possible is if they take strides. If they make strides with this current core, I think that would be something that would make it appealing to Anthony Davis. I don't think Anthony Davis is going to want to come home just for the sake of coming home to a team that's not much better than the one he's leaving. You got to think about it. Anthony Davis is going to have, he's going to have suitors everywhere. He's going to have people knocking down doors trying to get to him from everywhere. The Bulls may have some appeal to him because I don't know how enamored he is with coming to play back home. But if he is, and the Bulls have that on their side, then that's not going to be enough by itself. They're going to have a roster in place that has already shown that they're making strides. And I think that if you do that, then, it would be more appealing to him. King Legitimacy says, Unique Sports Management. What's up? Hey, I don't know what that is. What's that? What's going on, man? Dante McGregory says, do you think this is a make or break year for Zach to determine what type of player he is going to be in the league? I think it's something like that. He has a lot to prove too. And I know he's at the beginning of a longer deal than Jabari, but his deal has some concessions and some protections for injury in it as well. So I do think that he has a lot to prove. And I think that's why the Bulls are in a pretty good situation, because they have some young guys that people aren't sure about, but both of those guys, and Jabari and Zach, have a lot to prove. So they got to get out here and they have to ball out. And the Bulls stand to benefit from that. Shea says, also going back to that Iowa State shooter you mentioned, was it Naz Long? That one doesn't ring a bell. It's somebody who's because Hoiberg's team was really good. And I can't recall, but outside of Royce, who else was there? Let's see. Fingolian says, how do you think Bull Stars will play when and if building chemistry and glue this summer? I think if they, like I said, I think if they play well and then people stay healthy and they can establish the chemistry, I think this is a team that could make the playoffs. The starters, if you're talking about Dunn, Levine, Parker, Markkanen, and Carter, that's a lot of young talent. And I'm talking about the oldest guy is probably 24. That's nice. That's nice if you think about it. So that's encouraging. Tarian says, if DeMarcus Cousins recovered from his Achilles injury after winning the NBA title with Golden State, would he consider the Bulls? I think he probably might consider them, but I'm going to tell you, I don't know if the Bulls go after DeMarcus Cousins. I just don't think that they would want to bring in somebody whose personality could potentially be divisive or could mess with what they've created already in terms of from a chemistry standpoint. I don't think anybody would argue DeMarcus Cousins is the most talented, the best center in the NBA right now. But there's a reason, and I like Boogie, and I'm rooting for him. But there's a reason that no other team offered him a contract. The reason he signed for the 1 year, $5.3 million with Golden State was because nobody else offered him a contract. So the combination of coming off an Achilles injury and, from what I understand, some locker room drama, that was why nobody offered him a deal. The Bulls are trying to build something that is like really character first type of a team. And I understand that sometimes you do have to deviate from that and you have to just go out and get a baller, and you just hope everything works out. But DeMarcus Cousins is such a major, significant presence because just about any team he goes to, with outside of Golden State and the Lakers, arguably maybe Oklahoma City, just about any team he goes to, he's going to be the best player on the team. And when you're the best player on the team, there's a certain expectation of leadership that falls on you. And you become the number one influencer on the team. And before you bring in a guy like that into your locker room, you got to hope that he's going to deliver and push the agenda that you want pushed. And I just don't know that the Bulls would trust DeMarcus Cousins in that way. King Legitimacy says, you're the sports management for all the NBA 2K League draft busts. Well, hey, I must be doing pretty good with Moody. Moody played great. But let's stay on topic. Brandon Reynolds says, do you think D Rose would ever come back to the Bulls, say he signs with them and then retires? Well, I think that could happen. I definitely think that could happen. The big unit says, I hope Bulls fans are as happy as me. Management took proper precautions on Levine and Parker investments. I would agree. I would 100% agree. Shay Abner says, I think the other good players on White's team were Ejim and yes, that's who they were. That's who it was. I knew when I heard the name, I remember. Shay Abner says, which positions could or should the Bulls improve on through free agency in the future? I think depth. Honestly, you know what? I think they have to kind of pump their brakes and figure out what it is they have. I don't think they know what they have yet at any of these positions. So they have to figure out what they have before they know what they need. Robert Hobson says that's not true. DeMarcus Cousins declined the deal Lakers and Pelicans offered him. From what I was told and from what I read, it says that no other team offered DeMarcus Cousins a deal. Now, I don't know, maybe you saw something different, but from what I saw, it says no other team, the other 29 teams didn't offer him a deal. I don't know. Maybe they did offer him something small. I don't know. I never saw any offer about DeMarcus Cousins from the Lakers. I mean, I'll even look it up now to see what we're talking about there. But I don't think that he was offered anything unless, I mean, you know, with these things, during these things, you never know, you know, what exactly happened. Okay, so now I'm seeing something that says he had just one other offer before agreeing to sign. It says the Pelicans were the only other offer that he had to sign. And then now I do see another one that says he did not receive any other offers. So it all depends. And I'm going to show you guys what we got here. Now, so I'm going to show you where I got what I'm talking about. And this wasn't the only place that it was at. So this is a USA Today affiliate here. Pull this up real quick. So this was a USA affiliate, says report DeMarcus Cousins did not receive any offers from other teams. So you look at it and it says Monday night, DeMarcus Cousins shocked the world by signing with the Golden State Warriors on a 1-year, $5.3 million deal. After reports came out stating he was very likely to return, the Pelicans signed Julius Randle to a 2-year, $18 million contract, closing the door on a return from Boogie. According to Mark Spears of ESPN, Cousins not only had no offer from New Orleans, but the rest of the league as well. So Jamel Hill tweeted this. So as I have said all day, y'all want to be mad at Warriors for competing. According to Mark Spears of ESPN, Boogie received 0 offers from the other 29 NBA teams. And so I think what you were mentioning, let me see if I can find that, which doesn't mention the Lakers, but it does mention the Pelicans. But then we'll have to look into that a little bit deeper to see exactly what they're saying there. Okay, so this one says DeMarcus Cousins reportedly had just one other offer before agreeing to the Warriors. DeMarcus Cousins shocked the world when he decided, okay, so this is actually, somebody just copied this verbatim. So this is the same thing. According to undefeated Mark J. Spears, Boogie actually had to pick up the phone and call Warriors general manager Bob Myers after he entered unrestricted free agency without a single contract offer from any other team. So it looks more like what I was saying is what it actually was. He didn't have any other offers. Even the article that says that he had one offer from another team, in the text of the article, it doesn't back that up. It says DeMarcus Cousins shocked the world when he decided to sign with the Golden State Warriors on Monday. But one small factor probably made the decision light years easier. His phone wasn't exactly lighting up with contract offers. So, and then somebody said they sent this to Will Guillory, who, let's see, he said, Will Guillory, did the Pelicans offer Cousins a deal, and was it more than a 5.3? Okay, so this one says New Orleans Times Piccolini. I never understood. I've never knew how to pronounce that. Beat writer Will Guillory refuted Spears' report later in the evening. So he came back after Mark Spears said that, and says that Cousins was offered a deal, but it was by the Pelicans and it was for more. So I don't think we really know. I think all we know is that he didn't have a lot of offers. I think that's what is supported there and on both ends. But yeah, let's see where do we leave off here. Big Unit says Bulls in the future could work on guard depth for sure, especially point guard depth, definitely, because I'm not trusting Cameron Payne that much at this point. Fingolian Gene says actually Hoyball is about team effort, not so much on first option, second option, etc. Hoiberg's system as well is entertaining. Yeah. Shay Hafner says, I think signing with the Warriors was great for Boogie. He liked to win the championship. He gets the season to bounce back and prove that he's okay without having a whole lot of pressure on him. D. Shep says, go Mavs. All right, Luka Doncic. Tarian Whitfield says, Boogie allegedly had words with AD. Yeah, that'll get you out. That'll get you sent out in a minute. Big Unit says, the Bishop Bulls roster right now is definitely built to get out and transition and play fast. We're going to be super fast. I definitely think they'll be athletic. Shay Hafner says, is AD winning the MVP without Cousins there? He's definitely going to be up there. I mean, he was a candidate based off of what he did late in the season after Cousins went down. So Ryan Peltier says, I seen it came down to Warriors and Celtics. See, I think it's all over the place. Brandon Reynolds says, I think Boogie got an offer from the Pelicans during the season, but he declined it, so they just didn't offer him another contract after that. Fingolian says, transition ball and everyone can play at least 2 to 3 positions than their natural position. Warriors 2.0. I don't know about that. You pump your brakes on the Warriors 2.0. We don't have any players on this team that are proven at this point to play as well as anybody for Golden State. So we can't say that yet. Los Cruz says, the Bulls defense scares me. Hope Levine and Carter Jr. improve and help. Carter Jr. Looks like he's going to be fine. Levine needs to improve on defense for sure. Multiversatile. Pelicans offer him a contract, and so did Boston. See, nobody knows. It's all over the place. Nobody really knows. Let's see. Levine can play defense if he puts effort. It's not like he's not athletic enough. He's just looking at looking at score. Yeah, I think effort is a big thing, because like you said, he is athletic enough for sure. Tarian says Pelicans offered him a deal before he got injured when he was averaging 25 and 12. It was well less than he could have made on the open market. I believe that. I definitely believe that. All right, guys, I appreciate everybody chiming in and watching. I am going to bounce out and bounce on to my combat sports duties for the evening. Always, I talk sports, I talk gaming, and I always appreciate you watching. God bless and peace.